The Boston sky was already beginning to take on the colors of dusk. Megan Williams took a deep breath as she gripped the steering wheel. On Thanksgiving Day, driving to her parents' home, she felt a stronger tension than usual. How many times had she driven this road? The house where she had lived since childhood was a place of warm memories mixed with complicated feelings. Megan had succeeded as a senior manager at a reputable accounting firm in Boston. Her steadiness and attention to detail were ideal qualities for an accountant with high-income taxpayers as clients. Her own apartment, stable income, and career built on her abilities, all these were the results of her hard work. As she approached her parents' house, Megan unconsciously slowed down. Her parents, Bill and Martha, had maintained the same strictness they had when she was a child. Her father was a retired university professor who still taught as an adjunct instructor. Her mother continued to work on a small scale as a local real estate agent after retirement, handling just a few clients. Both held high expectations for things, and especially demanded this from their children. "It's just a Thanksgiving dinner," Megan told herself. Only a few hours. The wooden house came into view. The fallen leaves in the front yard had been neatly swept, and the entrance had the usual Thanksgiving decorations. However, something was different. There were fewer lights in the house, and her parents' car was nowhere to be seen in the garage. Megan frowned as she parked. Her sister Ashley's car wasn't there either. Ashley had never held a stable job and often sought financial assistance from Megan and their parents. Megan had recently found unfamiliar expenses on her credit card bill, which she suspected were borrowed by Ashley. When she rang the doorbell, she heard small footsteps after a while. "Who is it?" came a child's voice. "Emma?" "It's Megan." The door opened slightly, and a 6-year-old girl peeked out. Ashley's daughter Emma had blonde curls and sparkling blue eyes, clearly resembling her mother. However, her expression showed a grown-up caution that her mother lacked. "Aunt Megan." Emma's voice rose with a hint of relief as she opened the door wide. "You came." Megan entered the house and felt something was off about the quiet house. It was strange not to smell turkey on Thanksgiving Day. There was no sound of dishes from the kitchen, or the television. "Emma, where are Grandpa and Grandma?" "And your mom?" Megan asked as she took off her coat. Emma took Megan's hand and led her to the living room. On the table was a folded piece of note paper. "Mom and Grandpa went to Hawaii," the little girl whispered. There was anxiety in her tone, and she seemed to be hiding something. Megan looked at the girl in confusion. "Hawaii? But today is Thanksgiving. We were supposed to have dinner together, weren't we?" Emma shrugged and pointed to the note on the table. "They told me to give this to you." Megan took the note. It was written in Ashley's messy handwriting. "Megs, please take care of Emma. Family time is important. Thanks for the credit card. Bye." Megan was speechless. She had a bad feeling and hurriedly opened her handbag to check her wallet. Sure enough, her main credit card was gone. "What on earth?" Megan murmured. Had her parents and Ashley gone to Hawaii for Thanksgiving, taking her credit card, and leaving a 6-year-old child alone? Emma was watching her quietly. There was a look of resignation in her eyes that was unchildlike. "Are you angry, Auntie?" Megan took a deep breath. She suppressed her anger and tried to appear as calm as possible. "No, Emma. I'm not angry with you. I'm just a bit surprised. Mommy always says, Golden Goose sister will take care of it," Emma said innocently. "But I don't know what a golden goose is." Megan was momentarily speechless. It pained her that a child like Emma had to have such conversations. "Aren't you hungry? Let's get something to eat." Megan tried to change the subject. Emma seemed to brighten a little. "Yes. But the fridge is almost empty. Mommy said, when the money comes in, I'll buy groceries, but..." Megan headed to the kitchen. Indeed, the refrigerator was almost empty, with nothing but children's snacks and milk that was about to expire. She took another deep breath. Emma, put on your coat. We're going out to eat. Then we'll do a little shopping. Emma's face lit up. Really? Thank you, Auntie. Before getting into the car, Megan looked up at her parents' house again. Countless memories of Thanksgiving spent in this house came back to her. Her mother's homemade turkey, her father's long grace, and the laughter she shared with her sister as children. All of those now seemed like distant memories. Megan took out her cell phone and called her sister. It went straight to voicemail. Ashley, what is going on? Please call me back right away, she left a message, trying to sound as calm as possible. Next, she dialed her parents' number, but there was no answer there either. Auntie, are you okay? Emma asked anxiously. Megan smiled at Emma. I'm fine, Emma. Let's have a wonderful Thanksgiving together. As she started the car engine, she tried to understand the situation. Her sister had stolen her credit card and gone to Hawaii with their parents, abandoning her 6-year-old daughter. Wasn't this beyond irresponsibility and something that could be considered abuse? You know, we can watch your favorite movies at my apartment, Megan told Emma. It's the Christmas movie season after Thanksgiving. Really? Mommy says she doesn't have time to watch movies. She always seems busy. I see. Megan felt her hands tighten on the steering wheel. This situation might be more complex than she had imagined. She needed to gradually learn about her sister's life from Emma. But for now, reassuring this child was the priority. Emma, don't worry. We'll stay at my place for a while. I'll get you everything you need. Emma was quiet for a moment, but eventually said in a small voice, Auntie, will you stay with me until Mommy comes back? Megan met Emma's eyes through the rearview mirror. Her resolve hardened. Of course, Emma. I'll be by your side. The small restaurant in the Boston suburbs was one of the few places open on Thanksgiving Day. Megan and Emma sat by the window, quietly eating their special menu of turkey with cranberry sauce. Emma, when did Mommy and Grandma and Grandpa go to Hawaii? Megan asked carefully. Emma answered while poking at her vegetables with her small fork. This morning. It was still dark. I was sleepy, but Mommy said, get up, your aunt is coming. And there was no contact with me? Mommy said, Aunt Megan will definitely come. She always keeps her promises, Emma answered innocently. I was scared, but you really came, Auntie. Megan felt her heart tighten. What would have happened to Emma if she hadn't gone to her parents' house for some reason? Leaving a 6-year-old child alone at home was unthinkable. Auntie, are you okay? Emma asked with concern. Megan managed a smile. Yes, I'm fine. I was just thinking. After finishing their meal, they stopped at a supermarket. Megan bought everything Emma needed. Pajamas, changes of clothes, a toothbrush, and children's shampoo. Emma picked up a new picture book and looked up at Megan hesitantly. You want this too? Megan asked, and Emma nodded. Of course. You can choose as many as you like. Emma's eyes sparkled. Really? Mommy always says, we don't have money. After checking out, Megan drove toward her apartment. On the way, she tried calling her sister and parents several times, but there was no answer. Finally, she decided to contact Jason, Ashley's ex-husband and Emma's father. Jason? It's Megan, she quickly explained the situation when the call connected. Emma was left alone? You're kidding, right? Jason's voice mixed anger and surprise. I'm working in Seattle right now. I can't come back immediately. This time, I can't forgive Ashley. I'll take care of Emma. But legally, what happens? In our divorce agreement, Ashley has primary custody. But given this situation, we might be able to apply for a temporary custody order. I'll contact a lawyer tomorrow. After ending the call, Megan checked on Emma in the back seat through the rearview mirror. The little girl had opened her new picture book and was absorbed in reading. Megan's apartment was in a renovated old building in Boston's Back Bay district. When they went up to the 5th floor in the elevator, Emma looked around with interest. "Your home is beautiful, Auntie," Emma exclaimed. "Thank you. I'll prepare the sofa bed for you to sleep on." That night, after Megan confirmed that Emma had bathed, put on her new pajamas, and fallen asleep after having a picture book read to her, she returned to the living room. She opened her laptop and logged into the credit card company's website. Looking at the recent transaction history displayed on the screen, Megan was stunned. 3 airline tickets to Hawaii, reservations at a luxury hotel, and shopping at brand stores. The total amount had already exceeded $12,000. "Unbelievable," Megan murmured. She immediately contacted the card company to stop the card and report fraudulent use. The next morning, Megan woke up early to check her work emails. It was the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, but there might be inquiries from important clients. Emma was still asleep. While making coffee in the kitchen, Megan was thinking about her plans for the future. Taking care of Emma, dealing with her sister and parents, and balancing work. Everything was weighing on her shoulders. "Auntie," came a small voice. Emma was standing in the living room. Her hair was messy from sleeping, and she was rubbing her eyes, with an anxious expression. "Good morning, Emma. Did you sleep well?" Emma nodded, but tears were welling up in her eyes. "When is Mommy coming back?" Megan took a deep breath. "I don't know yet. But don't worry. I'll be here with you." She sat Emma at the kitchen counter and started making pancakes. "What would you like to do today?" "Actually," Emma hesitated before saying, "I wanted to see the Thanksgiving parade on TV. But Mommy said, we don't have time for that." "Of course we can watch it," Megan said brightly. "After the parade, let's go to the park, and then for hot chocolate." Emma's face lit up. "Really? Yay." After breakfast, they were watching the parade on the sofa. Seeing Emma's smile, Megan's resolve grew stronger. She was determined to do anything to protect this child. "Auntie," Emma suddenly said with a serious expression. "Do you hate Mommy?" Megan was surprised and struggled for words. "Of course not. I think your mom is doing her best in her own way. But Mommy always calls you a perfect Megs and gets angry." Megan smiled wryly. "That's what sisters are like. Even if we don't agree sometimes, we're still family." Emma thought for a while, then said in a small voice, "Auntie, you know." "What is it? Do you want to know Mommy's secret?" Emma's eyes showed a mix of anxiety and determination. Megan caught her breath. "What kind of secret?" Emma got up from the sofa and went to get the new backpack Megan had prepared for her. She took out a small tablet and stood in front of Megan. "Don't worry," Emma said almost in a whisper. "I recorded Mom's secrets." Megan caught her breath as she stared at the tablet in Emma's small hands. What kind of secret recordings would a 6-year-old have? She was hit by complex emotions but tried to appear calm. "Emma, why do you have something like this?" Emma shrank a little. "Because Mommy always talks loudly on the phone." I got scared. She let her eyes wander as if searching for words. "I learned it at school. If something scary happens, keep evidence." Megan felt a pang in her heart. A 6-year-old child making recordings to protect herself, what kind of environment was she being raised in? "It's okay, Emma. You haven't done anything wrong," Megan said gently. "Can you show me?" Emma tapped the tablet screen. The first thing they heard was Ashley's excited voice. "Jimmy, this plan is perfect. Megan's card has a high limit, so we can use it all we want. Even if she notices, she won't complain. She'll forgive me like always because we're family." Megan frowned. Jimmy seemed to be Ashley's new boyfriend. She had only briefly met him a few months ago and didn't know much about him. Yes, Mommy called you Golden Goose Sister, Emma added innocently. The recording continued. I bought that brand name bag with Megan's card last time too. When I said it was a birthday present, she believed me. Ashley's laughter rang out. I can pay off my debts and enjoy a vacation in Hawaii. Killing two birds with one stone. Debts. Megan had spoken out loud without thinking. She knew her sister had financial problems but didn't think she was in debt. Yes, Mommy's always on the phone about money, Emma shrugged. Scary people call sometimes too. The next recording seemed to be a conversation with their parents. Dad, Mom, I've reached my limit, Ashley's voice was tired. I can't handle taking care of Emma anymore. I can't raise a child alone. I understand, Martha's voice. But we're getting old too. We can't take care of our grandchild every day. Just dump her on Megan, Bill's low voice. She has money and time, doesn't she? She's single with no kids. That's right. Ashley's voice suddenly brightened. We'll invite her for Thanksgiving and leave Emma with her. Megan won't refuse. So, you're meeting Jimmy in Hawaii? Bill's voice. Is that guy really divorced? I heard rumors he still has a wife and children. Oh. That's not true. There was panic in Ashley's voice. Jimmy really is divorced. The paperwork is almost complete. Megan stopped the recording. Her hands were shaking. Learning how much she had been used by her family and how unstable an environment Emma had been living in, she felt a mix of anger and sadness. Emma. She searched for words. You were really brave to record this. Emma looked up anxiously. Are you angry? I'm not angry with you, Megan answered quietly. But normally we don't record adults' conversations. However, this time. I think you were brave. When Mommy comes back, she'll be angry, won't she? Megan took a deep breath. I'll talk to your mommy. You haven't done anything wrong. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, it had started to snow. She needed to organize her thoughts about what to do for Emma. Emma, aren't you hungry? It's lunchtime, Megan tried to sound cheerful. Yes. Emma seemed to have regained some energy. While making sandwiches in the kitchen, Megan took out her cell phone. First, she contacted her lawyer friend, Sarah Green, who specialized in family law. Sarah, I need urgent advice, Megan briefly explained the situation. That's serious, Sarah's voice had the coolness of a professional. Child abandonment and financial exploitation. There's enough grounds for legal action. I'll prepare the documents today. Next, Megan considered whether to report this to the police. However, she hesitated when she thought of Emma. She didn't want to cause more confusion in the child's world. Auntie? Emma came into the kitchen. Did I do something bad? Megan knelt in front of Emma and placed her hands on the small shoulders. You haven't done anything bad. You're a wonderful child. Let's have a good time together now. Adults will solve adult problems. Emma seemed somewhat relieved. I want to stay with you, Auntie. Of course, Megan smiled. We'll be together for a while. That afternoon, Megan took Emma to the park. They played on equipment lightly covered with snow, drank hot chocolate, and laughed together. On the surface, it was a normal, fun time between an aunt and niece. However, in Megan's mind, plans were forming one after another. An email arrived from Sarah. The temporary custody order application documents were ready. Megan promised to go to the office tomorrow to sign them. Auntie, look. A snowman. Emma called happily. Megan smiled and hurried over. That's wonderful. Let's finish it together. As she rolled the snowballs, Megan was strengthening her resolve. She was determined to do whatever was necessary to protect Emma. Her anger at how her past kindness had been exploited had now transformed into a calm determination. On the way home, Emma squeezed Megan's hand tightly. "Auntie, when are Mom and the others coming back?" "Probably in a few days," Megan answered. "But don't worry. By then, everything will be different." Emma looked up curiously but said nothing more. They returned to the apartment and started preparing dinner. That night, after Emma had fallen asleep, Megan listened to the recordings again. And she researched the necessary procedures to preserve them as evidence. The next morning, Megan woke up early and began tidying the living room. Over the past few days, she had consulted with lawyers and the police, and had all the necessary legal procedures in place. Emma's temporary custody order had been accepted by the court yesterday, and the fraudulent use of the credit card had been reported. Megan maintained her composure while preparing for the confrontation ahead. When the doorbell rang, the clock was pointing exactly to 10 o'clock. Megan took a deep breath and went to the door. When she opened the door, there stood Ashley, Harold, and Martha, all looking tired. All three had tanned faces from Hawaii and wore disgruntled expressions. "So you finally came back," Megan said calmly. "Come in." "Where's Emma?" Ashley asked. Her voice showed more irritation than concern. "She's still sleeping." Megan led the three to the living room. "Sit down." Her parents looked around Megan's apartment with complex expressions. Harold frowned with dissatisfaction, and Martha seemed uneasy. "What's this about?" "Taking Emma away." Ashley began a preemptive attack. "What are you thinking?" Megan smiled coldly. "That's interesting. Not something that should be said by someone who left a 6-year-old child home alone and went on a luxury trip with my credit card." "What are you talking about?" The blood drained from Ashley's face. Enough with the lies," Megan said quietly. She picked up the tablet that was on the coffee table. "I know everything." "What?" Megan pressed the play button on the tablet. Ashley's voice echoed in the room. "Jimmy, this plan is perfect. Megan's card has a high limit, so we can use it all we want. Even if she notices, she won't complain. She'll forgive me like always because we're family." As the recording continued, the faces of the three froze. Ashley turned pale, Martha covered her mouth with her hand, and Harold's face reddened with anger. This is an illegal recording," Ashley shouted. "This can't be used as evidence." "Unfortunately, considering the dangerous situation Emma was placed in, this recording will hold up in court," Megan replied calmly. "I've confirmed this with a lawyer." "A lawyer?" Harold opened his mouth. "Megan, what have you done?" "I only did what was necessary, Dad," Megan said. 4 days ago, I found Emma abandoned and alone. It was a situation that required reporting to Child Protective Services. But we're family." Martha raised her voice in distress. "Bringing family problems to outsiders. Are we really family?" Megan asked quietly. "Isn't family supposed to cherish and protect each other? Abandoning Emma and stealing my card, is that what family does?" Ashley rose fiercely. "Emma is my daughter. What do you know? The hardships of a single mother. I understand that it's hard for you." Megan's voice softened a little. "But that's no excuse for putting Emma in a dangerous situation." "What danger? It was only supposed to be a few hours." "A few hours?" Megan raised an eyebrow. "You didn't even contact me for 4 days. And if you were planning to come back, why was the refrigerator empty?" A heavy silence fell over the room. "Megan, what would it take to make this go away?" Harold began negotiating like the businessman he was. "If you don't go to the police, let's just forget everything. I'll pay the card bill." Megan stared at her father. "It's too late. I've already reported to the police and contacted the card company. And most importantly." She took out an envelope with documents. I've obtained temporary custody of Emma. What? Ashley's scream echoed through the room. Be quiet, Megan said sternly. Don't wake Emma. You have no right. Tears welled up in Ashley's eyes. Emma is my child. The court has a different view, Megan said. I also submitted the threatening voicemails from your debt collectors as evidence. Endangering a child for debt and travel with an affair partner. Ashley collapsed into a seat and began to cry. That wasn't my intention. I just needed a little break. Megan, Martha said quietly. We admit we were wrong. But raising Emma will be hard for you too. You have your work and... I've already decided, Megan's voice was resolute. Emma needs a stable environment. I've applied for parental leave and plan to increase my work-from-home days. Megan. Mommy. A small voice came from the entrance to the room. Emma was standing there in her pajamas. Her eyes were wide open, sensing the tense atmosphere. Emma. Ashley stood up and tried to rush to her daughter. Emma took a step back and moved closer to Megan. Auntie. That momentary reaction changed the atmosphere in the room. Ashley stopped in her tracks and stared at her daughter in shock. See that? Harold shouted. Megan has brainwashed my daughter. No, Megan said quietly. She went to Emma's side and placed a hand on her shoulder. Emma has just found a place where she feels safe. Ashley looked back and forth between Megan and Emma, and eventually dropped her shoulders. I'm a terrible mother, aren't I? Let's think about Emma now, Megan said. Ashley, you have problems. Debts, your lifestyle, you need to sort everything out. What are you saying? Emma will stay with me for a while. The court has approved this. You have regular visitation rights. And if you get your life back on track and can provide a stable environment, we can reconsider custody in the future. The room fell silent again. Ashley nodded while crying. Harold and Martha stood up wordlessly and headed for the door. Are you leaving already? Emma asked in a small voice. I'm sorry, Emma, Harold spoke kindly to his granddaughter for the first time. We'll come see you again soon. After the three had left, silence returned to the apartment. Megan and Emma sat on the sofa, shoulders touching. Are you okay? Megan asked. Emma nodded. Mommy was angry, wasn't she? Yes, but don't worry. Everything will be fine, Megan smiled. From now on, I'll protect you. Emma leaned against Megan, seeming truly relaxed for the first time. 1 month later, in the hallway of the Boston family court, Megan sat with a tense expression. Emma was next to her, coloring with a new crayon set. Today was the formal hearing regarding her legal guardianship. Megan Williams, the clerk called. Megan took a deep breath and took Emma's hand. Let's go. The hearing was shorter and more straightforward than she had expected. Ashley did not appear. Megan had heard that she was being sued by multiple creditors and had gone into hiding. Emma's father, Jason, testified by phone and agreed to Megan having custody. He only requested monthly child support payments and visitation rights during holidays. The judge granted Megan provisional custody of Emma, with a decision to reassess the situation in 6 months. That's good news, Emma, Megan hugged her niece's shoulders as they left the courthouse. Now we can have a proper life. I can live with you, Auntie? Emma's eyes shone with hope. Yes, that's right. The following week, Megan and Emma moved into a new apartment. It was larger than her old place and had a room just for Emma. Megan adjusted her work schedule and increased her work-from-home days. Every morning, she took Emma to her new school, and in the afternoons, they went to the park together or she helped with homework. Gradually, Emma regained her smile. She made friends at her new school, and her night crying decreased. With the arrival of spring came an unexpected visitor. When Megan opened the door, there stood Ashley. She was thinner than before, and her face without makeup couldn't hide her fatigue, but there was determination in her eyes. "May I come in?" Ashley's voice was small. In the living room, Ashley, with trembling hands holding a coffee cup, talked about the events of the past few months. She couldn't escape from debt collectors, was abandoned by Jimmy, and had finally entered a rehabilitation facility for alcohol dependence. "I was the worst mother," Ashley cried. "Treating Emma that way, using your money, it's unforgivable." "If you realize that, it's not too late," Megan said quietly. "Mom and Dad are remorseful too," Ashley said. "Dad especially, he wants to repair his relationship with his granddaughter. That's something they should show." When Emma came home from school, she hesitated for a moment when she saw her mom, but eventually gave a small smile. Ashley couldn't even hug her daughter, only repeatedly saying, "I'm sorry." A year later on Thanksgiving Day, a small party was held at Megan's apartment. Emma was helping Megan prepare the turkey in the kitchen, and Bill and Martha sat quietly in the living room. They had brought gifts for their granddaughter. Ashley was there too. After completing rehabilitation, she had started working at a small flower shop and was trying to rebuild her life. Megan had formally gained custody of Emma, with Ashley granted regular visitation rights. The family relationships were gradually being repaired, and bonds in the true sense were being nurtured. "Aunt Megan," Emma asked Megan after dinner, "family isn't just being together, but really caring for each other, right?" Megan smiled and gently stroked Emma's hair. "That's right, Emma. Family is bound by love and responsibility more than blood ties." That night, after Emma had fallen asleep, Megan went out to the balcony and looked up at the starry sky. A year ago on Thanksgiving Day, her life had changed in an unexpected direction. But now, she felt a heartfelt sense of gratitude. Sometimes life's greatest trials can bring the most beautiful gifts.